Lokati here. Today we are discussing our latest build. All builds are made live on stream, so you're welcome to come by Twitch and ask any questions and watch full videos. Links below.
Alright, holders of the last Epoch, I know everyone here wants to play a build that kills everything, doesn't die, is fun to play, and doesn't use ward. And we got it. This build is phenomenal. We're level 86 right now. We're going to hop into this 166 corruption timeline here, doing underground lakes. We are a Rive Ignite build. You're using Rive along with Healing Hands in order to do a tremendous amount of damage through application of Ignite, and it just melts everything in its path. Playstyle is pretty straightforward. You're going to keep casting your Ring of Shields. You're going to hit everything with Rive, and whenever it is dotted up, you're going to move on. Anything with no health is going to die instantly. Anything with a lot of health is going to die a few seconds later. And all you want to do is hit your Forge Hammer about once every 4 seconds, or whenever there is a high health target for you to kill. Your Forge Hammer is going to give you a tremendous amount of both defenses and offenses, both of which this build is not lacking. You'll see on our character sheet as we are killing things, we are currently reaching about 8 to 10k armor. We're currently reaching about 65% to 70% block effectiveness. We're currently reaching 100% chance to block most of the time that we're running around. We have high stun avoidance. We have good health. We have 227 health regeneration. We have health leech on our Polaris. We have health from the smites that are surrounding us while we're fighting a target. We have health from Rive hitting the target. We have health from Healing Hands hitting the target around us. If you're dying with this build, I really don't have any advice for you other than to maybe try Farmville. Echoes will go nice and smooth, and you won't have to worry about anything. Alright, we're going to go ahead and do a boss fight. This is Eye of the Storm, so we're going to have some fun with Lokati. Fight on this is pretty straightforward. You can tank everything in the fight but the beam. I know that from experience. Same thing as before. Keep up your Forge Hammer so that you have the buff going. Your ring will keep up your sigils. However, you can manually cast one sigil about every 12 seconds and you will have a higher uptime on them. And you're just going to stack ignites on the target. We apparently have left-handed only Lokati. Left-handed only. You can see we do get about 400 stacks of bleeds. Or sorry. We get about 400 stacks of ignites on the target. That is going to scale up to about 1,000 stacks of ignites on in-game target in good gear. Our current ignites are doing approximately 500 to 600 damage after all modifiers on the target. In-game they're going to be doing about 1,000 damage on the target. And so if you have 1,000 ignites on the target at 1,000 damage a second, that is 1 million damage from ignites. At an average duration of 3 seconds, that's 333,000 damage a second. At any point in this game, that is good damage. Now, since most of our ignites are coming from AoE skills and not single target skills, you have really strong AoE clear in the build, as well as really strong single target in the build. And as you can see, our health never goes anywhere. And just as a reminder, versus bosses, you're going to have your forge weapons up more frequently. And your forge weapons are a large portion of your single target boss damage. They are hitting very, very fast and doing a ton of damage. So if you have the ability to get them out of tight situations by using their attack move, you are welcome to do that as well to keep those up. Now Rive is also giving us an execute at 15%, which is nice. So as soon as we get this guy out of his boss ward and we start damaging his health again, he's going to drop down to 15% very quickly, and then we'll get a quick execute on him right there. Alright, let's talk about our passives, active skills, items, idols, and blessings. First things first is going to be our passive skills. On our passive tree, we are going 30 into Sentinel. That is 8 out of 8 from Juggernaut, primarily for the resistances and the armor from Strength. 1 into Fearless, so we can get 1 into Stalwart for the block chance. We're going 5 out of 5 in Armorclad for the damage reduction taken from nearby enemies and the armor. We are getting Time and Faith for the mana gained with Rive and 10% of missing health every time we use Rive. Now currently we are sitting at 59% melee attack speed, plus 40% chance for using a sword from our 2 talent trees, which gives us a total of 99% melee attack speed. We are using a weapon that is 1.16 speed, so we are getting a 2.3 attacks per second with Rive base, and then Rive has a modifier of 1.866, so we are getting 4.3 attacks per second after that base modifier, and then Rive first and second attack have a 40% increased attack speed, which is getting us a net total gain of about 1.28, so that is 5.5 Rives per second. So as you can see, this node right here is giving us 55 mana per second and 10% of our missing health gained 5.5 times per second. Very strong. Over here on Axe Thrower, we are running 24% chance to cast Axe on throw hit. This is allowing us to get more of those free Axe throws out that can debuff the mob and apply additional ignites to the mob. We are getting 5 out of 5 Blade Master for that 30% attack speed. And over in Forge Guard, we're getting 5 out of 10 Weapon Master for the other 10%, which is where the 40 comes from. Now we are putting 3 out of 10 into Battle Hardened for increased armor when hit and some physical resistance. 3 out of 5 for Steel Aegis for the block chance and the armor and block effectiveness. And then as I level up, we're going to be putting more points into Rallying Block, which is going to be giving us stacks of armor on block. Very, very strong node. Now we are putting 1 in Peltist so that we can get 3 in Shield Breaker. Shield Breaker is what is giving us Fire Shred. Because we are throwing axes, we are hitting targets with throwing attacks. Those throwing attacks are applying 3 stacks of Fire Shred per attack. Now 3 kind of gets you the ideal spot where you can keep the max stacks up against single target. But if you wanted better AoE clear, you could put more points in here for the stacks to apply more quickly to large groups of targets. Down here, we are going 10 out of 10 for Smelter's Might for that 70% ignite chance, as well as 70% ignite for our minions. We are running a 5 out of 10 Folded Steel for the additional maximum forged weapons. We're running 4 out of 4 Flawless Defender for 300 armor with shield. 8 out of 8 Osprey's Bane is amazing. We get both 24% shared elemental resistance, 96% shared fire damage over time, and we get less fire damage taken. This node is probably one of the strongest changes to the Forge Guard tree, coupled with these 2 nodes. Here we are taking 10% less damage because we have more than 50% block chance, and we're getting block chance. And here we are getting a chance to cast Ring of Shields on block. This is giving us a much higher uptime on Ring of Shields, more shield rings out at the same time. And so with this node proccing against large groups of targets, we can have up to 15 to 20 shields out at a given time. We can have 5 out from the manual cast here, and then we can have another 3 casts every 6 seconds for a grand total of 20 shields. Now 20 shields means we get 2,000 block effectiveness from this one node. It is so strong. It also happens to increase our minion health and our minion armor, which will help our swords both tank better for us and do more damage. Now we are also a Forge Guard, so this Stalwart stacks are increasing our armor, which stacks up to 10 times from 50% armor increase. And there is a new node that interacts with this. Now, caveat here. We'll have a build guide down below, but this is a trap. Do not put 5 points into Avatar of War. We do not want the increased area per Stalwart stack of our Forge Hammer. It serves no other purpose than to buff us, and we don't want to lose Stalwart stacks to this thing proccing every time we hit something on the head with a Forge Hammer. But Stalwart is a very, very strong passive for us. Otherwise, we just don't want to interfere with this one right here. Now on our Paladin tree, we are going 1 in Honor for the block chance, 5 in Conviction for the increased fire damage and fire penetration, 1 for Divine Bolt here, and 9 out of 10 for Phoenix Strike. We will be maxing out Phoenix Strike, we will be maxing out Conviction as some of our nodes here, as well as maxing out Rallying Block, but we are only 86, so we still have plenty of points to get and spend on our character. Now for our active skills, we are Rye, Forge Hammer, Ring of Shields, Healing Hands, and Sigils. These are all non-negotiable skills. They are all absolutely required for the build. On our Rive, get a lot of flexibility here. Only thing that is a requirement on this skill is 4 out of 4 bound weapon and 5 out of 5 flurry. The other points that I have spent in this tree are for quality of life. I went 1 out of 2 down here so that we can get 1 in Projection of War. Projection of War means that every first strike is going to generate 1 additional stack of ignites on the target. I'm getting 4 into Iron Reach so that we can have a larger area effect Rive, which means a larger pull in so that Strike 2 will make enemies come closer to you constantly. And we are going over here for Strike 3 to have a 15% execute on it. These points, however, you can move around the tree as needed on your build or how you want things to function. On our Forge Strike, the primary purpose of Forge Strike is to increase the number of forge weapons we can have and to buff our character. So we are getting 100% more armor, we are getting 12% global more damage, and we are getting 30% global fire penetration. This is a multiplicative 30 plus 1.12, so we are getting 45% total multiplicative damage out of this tree. Very, very strong 2 nodes right here. And then 100% additional armor is absolutely phenomenal. Now, I went ahead and took Forge Master as well so that we can get some of our forge weapons, some of his great axes, which have a greater area. And then we're increasing the damage done by the forge weapons, which also increases the damage done by the ignites of the forge weapons, and increasing their attack speed so that they can ignite more frequently. On Ring of Shields, I'm torn on this one. This is our setup right now, but there is a flexible option. If you get enough block chance that you no longer need defensive shields, moving these points and this point over here for increasing the number of shields will increase your block effectiveness by 300 per cast of Ring of Shields because of our passive node. So I think that will be stronger long term and will be in the build guide down below for the in-game build on it, but for early scaling we want this additional block chance. Additionally, we're moving up here primarily for the block effectiveness on heal. This is multiplicative block effectiveness, so right now we have 1582. Whenever this procs, that will be 1582 times 1.4. So there is also the option of moving this point out of here and moving it up to here. However, this node causes shields to heal you anytime they die. This node causes you to have increased block effectiveness when you heal. We only get 1 heal every 6 seconds from this node, and this has a 4-second duration, so you've only got 66% uptime without this node here. So we'll go ahead and keep this one for now, but you may want to look at making some changes based on your character and what your needs are. On Healing Hands over here, we are going all the way down here for Seraph Blade. Seraph Blade makes Healing Hands a melee hit. Since Healing Hands is a melee hit, it can proc Polaris, and it can proc all of our ignites, and then the smites from Polaris can proc our ignites, and we're doubling the number of melee hits we get whenever we take Seraph's Blade on Healing Hands down here. Now we are also taking Virtue of Patience so that the ignites from Healing Hands do more damage. We're taking Cleric's Wrath so that the ignites per Healing Hands do more damage. We're taking reduced mana cost down here so the proccing of Healing Hands does not hurt our mana. And then we're taking 5 out of 5 Divine Catalyst so that when we proc Divine Bolt from our tree, we get 5 additional Divine Bolts cast. And then we're going over here for increased healing effectiveness and additional healing per second. Cleric's Hammer is what allows us to cast Healing Hands every time we cast Rive, so it is an absolute requirement for this. The rest of the stuff you can move around a little bit more as necessary. If you were having some survivability issues, you could pull out a Divine Bolt and dump those points into additional healing over here, for example. Now for Sigils of Hope. Sigils of Hope were in here for a few reasons. One, we want all the block chance and block effectiveness. Two, we want the endurance threshold down here. And three, we want the ignite chance. Every other point in this tree is just to get to those. We also like having the maximum number of sigils, and we want the increased duration. If you have a better rolled Orion's Sun Seal, then you can, instead of putting a point in Enduring Hope, you can move that down to Iron Sigils for an additional endurance threshold, which will be in the Endgame build as well. Now for items and idols, we are using Palaris' Sacred Light, Orion's Sun Seal, and Code of the Erased Sentinel. These are required items for the build. All the other items are stats as needed. We'll go over the first one. Sentinel's Leonin Great Helm of the Ox. We have this for reduced bonus damage taken from critical strikes, and it is an offensive helm with fire damage over time, increased fire damage, and lots of health. On our body armor, we have Sentinel's Solarum Plate of the Ox. This gives us endurance, high armor, increased fire damage, as well as scaled for increased fire damage, vitality, increased armor, and health. You do want a good roll of increased armor percentage on your body armor. That's going to be very important. For our Pyromancer's Girdle, we have increased fire damage, a throwing damage roll that shouldn't be on here, and hybrid health and health percentage. On our boots, hybrid health and health percentage. On our gloves, hybrid health and health. These are important slots. I don't care what your prefixes are. Get as much health as you can out of these slots. You want to be around 3k in the end game, if not higher. Now on our gloves, we did go with a T7 increased melee attack speed and a base of the Eternal Gauntlets for the armor mitigation applies damage over time. For our boots, we are using Heoborian boots for the additional cold res, and then we have increased move speed on there as well. And we would like a better roll in attunement, but crafting doesn't always like it. And for our belt, again, we are using the increased move speed belt, but a plated belt or another armor-based belt would be a better choice here. Our ring over here, Phantom Grip, is giving our glove stats to our swords. The increased critical strike chance, the minion critical strike chance, the +2 to minion skills, none of that matters. The mana doesn't matter, the melee necrotic damage, all that's irrelevant. But the 72% increased stats for our gloves on our forged weapons means that 29% melee attack speed is transferring over to our forged weapons, giving us many more ignites on the hit. And we have our Erased Sentinel. You just want the best one you have access to. The 29% increased armor and the 28% armor mitigation applies to damage, and the +1 to all skills you cannot play without. This is such a powerful Erased Sentinel relic. Even if this thing had one Weaver's Will and increased necrotic damage, we would still use it. So get one. If you don't like it, get another one. Keep leveling them until you get a good one. I really like the increased health regeneration on this one because it bumps our health regeneration up by massive amounts. We are running a lot of health regeneration on the build already, so it is very useful. But if you have a different one that gives you better, more useful stats to you, use that one. For our idols, we are running chance to ignite on hit and fire penetration with melee attacks in every slot. On the top, we're running increased damage over time and chance to ignite at high health, and then we have two little tiny 1x1s that we can utilize for armor, health, resistances, whatever it is you need in those slots. Last things last are our blessings. Now, the blessings that I have on this build are the right ones, just not the right rolls. We want ignite on chance, we want increased health and health regeneration, we want all res, we want increased fire damage, and we want block chance and block effectiveness. These are all pretty straightforward. You just want better rolls than what I've got right here.
All right, folks, thanks for stopping by and watching our video. If you liked what you saw, give me a like, follow, subscribe. Also, come by the stream and say hi. Love to answer questions and help however I can. Y'all have a wonderful day wherever you are.